The second game between Shelty and Weasel is going to be played with the same god on Shelty's side. He's going to be sticking with Seth, but Weasel is sticking into Thor, or rather switching into Thor, as he wasn't really happy with the Loki display that he was having in there, and trying to make himself count with Thor a bit more. And I'm kind of liking that, because I think that without patch, Thor is actually better than Loki, or better. Yeah, I think that he is. Loki got better with the wobbly balance patches and whatnot. And here, Ghost Lake, interesting map, and if it wasn't for the shifting sense, I think I would be even favoring Weasel in here slightly. Because obviously this is a very open map, and with the mid generation of pre-patch maps, we get kinda sucky for Egyptians especially. So yep, let's see. Maybe he will get lucky, or maybe not. Well, yeah, yet again, starting with the blue player Shelty, who is forced into a bit of berries, being plastered next to gold, but not really any kind of problem, as he is going to be rescuing that sooner rather than later, and otherwise a bit of goatees at the top. And it seems like that he's not seeing any hunt yet, so is he going to get lucky with the hyena? But he has discovered pretty brutal TC, to be honest, for an Egyptian. That's as defensive as it can be and safe as it can be also, with a bit of extra food at the back together with the polar bear. So let's see where is actually the hunt for him. Ah, on the left hidden. He has just missed it with the priest. But he's going to be probably finishing with the hyena in there. And on the right side, these are the piggies, which are going to be converted by the priest. Or maybe he's returning for the bears. Oh yes, he is. He's returning for the bears. Trying to make sure that he actually notices them. And unfortunately, oh my. Oh well, that's sucky for Shelty. He actually missed the hunt in here quite totally. He's going to be waiting a bit more before he goes for it, and he's though quite optimistic because he has gone for hunting dogs. As he didn't really see the piggies or caribous before, but right now he is, and it's going to be paying off for him. Oh, especially because of this, sorry, very nice double of boars. Oh, that's pretty nice for him to see. So he won't even mind that he didn't discover the hunt at the very back. Going for all the goatees, and what is this? Archer Ballista, Kier Ballista, LOS and range. Well, why not? Could be good for slingers, chariot archers, something. It works for them, that is. Not exactly confident on that, but I would think so. And 20% myth units crush armor. Yeah, that sucks. That sucks, but that could be pretty nice for the Norse player, for Valkyries and whatnot, which we should be expecting from him. And would be, of course, quite good if he was Loki, but he isn't. But, yeah, as I've said, still, even Thor uses quite a decent amount of mythic units, especially in the Valkyries. So double piggies for Weasel as well. That's pretty good to see that the map is equal in that. And otherwise he has discovered a lot, serious lot of hunt on the right next to the town center. And this is a pretty good spot for him, because he's going to be tempted to go there for extra hunt once he finishes with all those boars. And doesn't need really to explore the left side, as there's not much interest in there, because the town center is on the right, and really it's going to be making easier for him to protect the town center and the hunt, especially with the map that is spawned like this. Easy wall in here, and interesting golds nearby. Even though not really all that safe, the one on the left, the one on the right could be walled up. Yeah, it's kind of fairly safe. And look at how the front DC of Shelty is also on the right side. Seems like that most of the fights should be happening on the right side of the map, near this DC or near this DC potentially, but not really expecting that. Much more somewhere in the middle. Wow, the goals, as Shelty might be trying to capture them for himself, as the ones on the left are not really all that close and are not also that safe, and because of the town center he will be strongly preferring the right side and the gold mines that are in here for himself. He's already recognizing that this is a pretty good spot for a scouting house. Yeah, seeing exactly the gold. And right now he's discovering the extra piggies in here as he's advancing halfway into Freya. And we'll be finding exactly where the food willies are, and well, that's exactly that. I'm going to be waiting also for Shelty to advance into the next age. Halfway in there, as he is going to be yet again probably casting the vision for the shifting sands. So Weasel should be already careful about that. But since he cannot really move from this positioning of the hunt for himself, he might not really I'll be needing even to cast the vision to see about that. So pretty good Radiant attempting at walling, basically preventing any kind of retreat for his opponent. And here we go with the hyena, and can he find something to shift? Nice. Nicely for him. So far not, as he's probably paying attention to what is happening inside his own base. Right now advancing with the Valkyrie and the Herseer, trying to make life difficult for his opponent, and a very gutsy aggressive play from him. And shifting sands right next to the DC. Yet again, 3 villages, nicely played, by trying to prevent actually the death of all of them, and Oxguard is going to die. But this villager might be getting away. Oh, that's nicely played. That's nicely played by Weasel, and unfortunately for his opponent Shelty, he wasn't able to block the path fully, but still, he did disrupt the economy. Killed 2 villagers and an Oxguard, and well, of course, this villager is not going to be anything for quite a long time, so yep, that's that. And it was also on the food village, exactly as we expected, and that's a very big blow to any aggressive attempts by Weasel, because obviously you need a lot of them for yourself. I'm not exactly understanding the play right now by Weasel. Building so many Herseers since he isn't Loki. Not really anything that he can be countering with them, but he's probably just wanted to be having at least some kind of army before he was advancing into the next stage, so that might be the thought, and is hoping that it can be enough for him to actually stay in the game in the early stage. And then, well, when he has the full edition of the Raiding Cavalry, which is usual for Thor, he might be just as well good enough. We go for a bit of fighting, so yep, that's barracks already down, second build by Shelty. Preparing for his opponent with the Axeman, and will be switching into Spearman pretty soon, once he sees that the Raiding Cavalry is also part of Weasel's army. Otherwise, not much really happening around the map. Let's check, for example, economical upgrades. Gigantic Dogs and Pig Sticker. For Red, whereas Blue is having what? Nothing, Gigantic Dogs. Interesting to note. And spending quite a lot of resources into military in here, and also already switching into the Spearman, but not all that much. Well, not all that much right now. He has switched into them pretty much fully, we can say. And a pretty good mix of army, which should be covering for absolutely anything that his Norse opponent should be throwing at him, like throwing Axeman, the Herseers, or of course also the Raiding Cavalry, so that's a pretty good mix. And since he has a very nicely positioned 2 towers in here covering the goal, he should be reasonably safe from any kind of raiding, and this is just going to be up to Shelty to choose the battlefields, and he will be most definitely choosing them right next to the tower. So this forest fire is a pretty good one, because first is going to be taking down the barracks, which is a pretty big help, as barracks are quite long to build for the Egyptian, and second, this was a very big tree line, and will be allowing a Weasel into the opponent's base very nicely, as it's going to be literally impossible to wall anything in here once this is gone. And oh, watch this army. A bit of a barbecue. Hyena dead. Budget basically dead as well. That was unexpected bonus for Shelty, or rather for Weasel, I would be thinking, and Shelty wasn't really paying attention, so this dude is basically done. That's not going to be all that much of a trouble with that, but well, let's see if Weasel can pull something off with this battle. He needs to be careful, really. He should be engaging with those guys at the same time. Should have just waited for the house to be finished, as he doesn't want to be caught exactly into this. As he's right now fighting, oh my, he's fighting Spearman with his horses. No! Weasel, please no. And he's fighting Axeman with his Herseers. Oh, that's absolutely terrible. That hurts. And even though the Spearmen are kinda sucky, so the Raiding Cavalry is winning, it's so ineffective, obviously. And this battle should have went a whole lot better for Weasel than it actually did in the end. And that's a bit of a shame, because I think there was a big opportunity for a red player to be gained in here, since he has gotten rid of one of the barracks. Right now the second is being built, armor is also coming up. And there was a pretty good chance for Weasel to take a lot more from this battle than he in the end did. As right now, since Shelty is having a pretty good help with all the animals in here, and the healed budget, unfortunately, you can see that he's healed from 10 hit points into 85, 26 and whatnot. He's apparently regenerating though, Oh yeah, it's a special actually, which I didn't realize before, and that's actually healed quite a lot in here, and the healing 1 per second is quite a lot, as you can see. It was half dead, it was pretty much dead just a moment earlier, and right now, a minute later, it's at 100 hit points back. That's a pretty brutal healing rate right there, and a pretty good one. Pretty good idea to keep your budgets in check, and if they are half dead, just send them home and let them heal into full health yet again. So it seems like that Weasel is right now basically abandoning his front base, as Shelty has succeeded in defending in here, and will be hoping that he can somehow protect himself at home. But I'm not all that positive that it's going to be all that easy for him. You should probably spend some extra resources right about now into towers, as you'll be needing all the extra help that he can get. You can already see that Shelty is looking for something to raid, and... Oh, fuck. Whew. Luckily, there's a way off. Way out. If it wasn't, well, that was a pretty terrible trap. And this is actually pretty nice clearing in here. And if somebody manages to actually run away in there, well, I will feel sorry for them. But let's go back to raiding by Shelty into Weasel. Obviously working quite nicely, and that's going to be a bit of a problem for Weasel, as he doesn't have all that much food left. Last goat is going to be finished, and he's going to be left with just a few berries on the right, few polar bears at the bottom, and that's it. There's absolutely nothing on the left, just far, far, far away at the top, and that's about it for him. So yeah, pretty tough deal for Weasel right about now, and he needs to be careful as he has lost yet again a Nox card, which is going to slow him down even more. So a bit of a raiding, and at the same time Sam is happening at the top, as Weasel is not giving up on the front base overall, as it might have seen a bit before, still having auto queue in here already for the raiding cavalry from 3 longhouses, but unfortunately his food economy is basically toast, so yeah, he's not gonna get all that many of them. And as long as Weasel's army is concentrating just on the raiding cavalry, it's going to mean that Shelty should be defending quite easily with just the spearman, and that's exactly what he's doing right about now, running around trying to protect what he can. But with the destroyed forest, it's going to be pretty much easier for Weasel than it would have been otherwise to do something about his opponent. But needs to be there careful not to take those fights. This wasn't really helping him all that much. And I'm thinking that Shelty might be actually thinking about advancing to the next age, but so far it doesn't seem so. I was thinking that maybe he might be having better economy as he's almost housed. Just husbandry and hunting dogs. Not really all that great. And oh my, that's a pretty nice trap. Pretty nice trap indeed, with the budget already being full health from being near death in here, and the army is getting quite scary from Shelty, to be honest, as already the two flanks are going to be converging on his opponent, and with the towers at least finally from Weasel being up, it's still not going to be much of a problem, as just all his infantry can take that down without any problem. And with the fact that Weasel is having basically just raiding cavalry, which means he cannot engage into the spearmen, that's a pretty bad position for Weasel to be in, as I don't really expect that he will be all that ready for this battle himself. He's at least right now trying to lure his opponent under the fire of the TC and the tower as well. That's a pretty good play by the red one. But really needs to be careful as much as he can, because this is pretty tough for him. And very nicely played and controlled by Shelty so far, I have to say, as he's not really letting his army to roam freely. He's controlling them very nicely and trying to make sure that once the horses actually make an attempt, make a charge into the army, it's only the spearmen that they are greeted with, and not really the slingers, the priests, the lone budget. So 2 towers left, with 1 tower being useless, the one at the bottom. The one at the top is the last one that is somehow successful or useful, and the economy being pretty tough for Weasel right about now. And let's have a look into the post game. Weasel is 734, Shelty 40. That's actually not that much of a difference. I would be expecting a lot different numbers actually. That's interesting. That Weasel is able to keep up with his opponent even through the pretty heavy raiding. Oh well, but it's probably not going to be true for all that much longer. As you can see that Weasel was trying to sneaky play this, but unfortunately for him, Shelty was curious where all those villages and dwarfs are, and he has just found out exactly where they were. But you can see that same can be said about Weasel, locating villages from the blue player, but looking how this is a pretty bad fight for the red player to be found himself in. With the reinforcement, unfortunately, yet again, being just horses against spearmen. Not going to be all that easy, but he might be saving at least a bit of these dwarfs, which might be well worth it, losing all the army that he's right now sending into this point of the map. Well, let's not be too hasty, as it seems like that the reinforcements from the longhouses and overall over the map are actually paying off, especially with the throwing axeman getting rid of the spearmen. And we might be seeing interesting results of this battle. But still, yeah, Weasel could be doing a bit better in sending all the horses literally against the slingers, because you can see that's exactly the difference. As blue player is using the slingers to single out the throwing axeman, that was exactly what he was doing a bit earlier, whereas Weasel wasn't doing this micro, and that basically allowed Shelty to win, even in a battle that looked like that he might not be winning. But in the end, it was a total slaughter, and he actually annihilated Weasel overall quite nicely, and it's going to be quite tough for Weasel because he has lost his army, and more importantly, he is right now without economy for quite some time right about now. And that means that he cannot rebuild as fast as his opponent, and of course, with just one longhouse being safe, even though those two other three are not unsafe overall, it's still not ideal for him to be building all that far away from the actual battlefield. At the bottom you can see that he's being picked off by some of the guards at the rear by Shelty, and well, they are running exactly into the trap that Shelty quite nicely prepared for him, exactly at the spot where those guys were hoping that they could be arriving into safety. Well, not really going to be happening just about now. Next pickaxe for Weasel, whereas Shelty is having what? Just pickaxe with plow on top of that, as he's slowly switching into farms, and well, you can see that Weasel is in farms quite a bit longer, but unfortunately he still doesn't have even plow, which would definitely help him quite a lot. Yeah, as that is making a whole lot of difference, and it's also quite dirt cheap, literally dirt cheap. And well, that's it then. As Weasel recognized that this game is not going to be turned around, and yet again he put up a pretty good fight. He was going for it quite aggressively at the very start, hoping that he can surprise his opponent, and he at least did save one villager from the shifting sands, just also I think half of the thought in there that he will be disrupting the escape, the buildings that Shelty will be making to disrupt the escape routes of the villagers. That did work. But overall, fortunately, the aggression wasn't strong enough. It wasn't something that Shelty wouldn't be able to counter. And then, really, quite a good macro by Shelty in both of these games so far, and that helped him in important battles to win them in his account, or rather in his way, quite convincingly. This priest just died in here, in the squat. Well, let's have a look at the post game. Same case as last game, with the economy being actually a whole lot better for Weasel. So yet again, not understanding, oh well, he's not winning by much, so it's probably just the number of economical units, which even wasn't best for Shelty in the end. Weasel was able to have 42 at the end, whereas Shelty just 41. So he even had the better economy, but unfortunately in the end we have seen that he wasn't able to use that to gather any resources due to a very nice raiding from Shelty. Yeah, medium spearman 46, raiding cavalry 42. Take a guess how that could go. And the heroic budget. Besides the gazelles offset in there. Well then, GG, and let's have a look at game number 3, because we are at best of 5.